It's not difficult. It's not difficult. It's not difficult. It's not difficult. Hello everybody and welcome back. I'm Miss McCombie and today we're going to be talking about the 5-mark question. For those of you who don't know, this is the last question of the higher RUAE paper. It asks you to compare the main passage with a second passage and find areas where they either agree or disagree depending on the question. Lots of people think that this question is really hard, and it's actually not. It's a little bit confusing. The reason people think that it is so difficult is for two main reasons. The first reason is that there aren't that many practice examples. You've got the past paper questions, but in order for me to create more practice papers for you, I have to go and I have to find 2 articles about the same topic that agree or disagree on at least 6 of the same points. It takes forever for me to do that, and often I can't find things that are really good examples for you to use. Maybe your teacher's brilliant, maybe they've managed to come up with more, but it takes a long time to do, so there aren't that many practice questions. The second reason is that it is the last question of the paper, and it is worth 5 marks. People, when they are running out of time, do not want to be answering a question that's worth that many marks. And so they feel like it's a difficult question because it's one that they don't get to practice very often because it's at the end of the paper. I'd like to take this opportunity to remind you, you can do the questions in any order so long as you've clearly numbered them. If you want to do this question first, by all means, go ahead. But today I'm going to try and explain this to you in the least complicated way possible. Right, so let's get into it. So what do you actually have to do for the 5-mark question? Well, it's actually kind of straightforward. You get given 2 passages in the exam paper, so you have to read both of them. One of them is longer than the other because that's the one that asks you most of the questions. The second passage is only for the 5-mark question, so it's considerably shorter. Then you have to find 3 areas where the passages agree or they disagree. If it says and or, you can cover both and you don't necessarily have to do it equally. Then you have to quote and explain to show that you've not just made these areas of agreement or disagreement up, you prove that you have found them in the paper. It's kind of like a game of spot the difference or spot the similarities depending on the question. I actually think a really good way to start is by looking at the marking scheme. I think that makes it less confusing. If you do this question and get 0 marks, it's probably because you didn't understand the question. That's most likely if it's asked for areas of disagreement and you've only found areas where they agree, which would be quite difficult, but I'm sure people have done it. In order to get 1 mark, you just have to find 1 area of agreement or disagreement. For 2 marks, you have to find 2 areas of agreement or disagreement, and for 3 marks, you have to find 3 areas of agreement or disagreement. See? So you can get 3 marks simply for identifying 3 areas where they agree or disagree. That's why I say it's quite easy to get 3 marks. You just have to find 3 points that both passages make. In order to get 4 or 5 marks, you have to back up those points with evidence from the text. So that means finding quotes and explaining them. In order to get 5 marks, you have to make detailed and insightful comments. There's a lot of disagreement about what detailed and insightful comments actually means. So I wouldn't spend lots of time worrying about exactly how to get the full 5 marks, but what I would do is focus on getting that 3 marks and then backing them up with quotes so that you can get the full 4 if you've got time. Where it starts to get slightly complicated is the next bit. If you think this is going to confuse you, skip ahead. This is your warning. Move ahead now if you think you're going to get confused. I mean, I say that, but it's more complicated for your marker than it is for you as the person writing it. So you can still get 3 marks if you can only find 2 areas of agreement or disagreement. So if you can only find 2 areas of agreement or disagreement, you can get 3 marks so long as you've got quotes and explanations to go with it. If you've managed to make detailed and insightful comments, then you can get up to 4 marks. But like I say, this doesn't happen very often. If you can only find 1 area of agreement or disagreement, you can still get an extra mark if you have quotes and explanations to go with them. Now, the rest of the marking scheme is laid out like this. So you can see that they've got the points down one side, it'll either be agreement or disagreement or a combination of both. And then they've also got the quotes and analysis that they would expect to go with those points. There's 2 ways that I'm going to suggest writing down your answer. The first way is the bullet point method. For this one, you write down your point of agreement or disagreement and then you follow it with your evidence. So your answer could look a little bit like this. Lots of people like this way because it's really easy to write down their 3 key points, and if they're running out of time, they can write down the key points, leave a space and go back and add the quotes in later. I should specify that if the question asks for only areas of agreement or only areas of disagreement, you don't have to say that they agree or disagree. You just have to say what the topic is or what the point is that they are making. The other way is the table method. A lot of people like this because it is laid out in the same way that the marking scheme is. I like it as a marker, but it's completely up to you which one you prefer. It's exactly the same process, just a different layout. So you can see that down one side we've got what their points are, points of agreement or points of disagreement, or both depending on the question. And then we've also got a space for quotes and a space for explanation. If you want to aim for 5 marks and you've got loads of time left, I would suggest you do TQALs in this section. Completely up to you. I would probably just stick to quote and explain because in my head, I'd be running out of time and I would just care really about getting those 4 marks. But like I say, up to you. Okay, I'm going to show you an example answer now. Just be aware that these answers are made up and from my own head because I have not got hours and all of the subscriptions to all of the newspapers and magazines to be able to create a specimen paper for this. So let's say hypothetically that our articles were about the Eurovision Song Contest and it asked you to find areas of agreement and or disagreement. My answer could then look like this. So starting off with the bullet point method, we've got our point at the top. We've got they agree that Eurovision's popularity has had a positive impact on tourism. If it were not an agree-disagree question, if it were just an agree question, we could just say tourism. And then we've got passage 1 states, in the host city of Dublin, business is booming, which suggests lots of people are spending money. And then passage 2 states, people are arriving in droves, bringing their precious coin, which suggests lots of people are arriving in the country and are willing to spend money. Okay, simple. And then for our second point, we've got they disagree that the quality of the music at Eurovision is good, or they disagree on the quality of the music. Passage 1 states that they are legit bops, which suggests the author finds the songs catchy and enjoyable to listen to. Whereas passage 2 states screeching, whining, out of tune chaos, which suggests they think the quality of the songs is poor. And then we just need to make one more point, which in this case is that they disagree about the impact of the EBU's decision to ban certain acts. We can say that passage 1 states the EBU quite rightly saw this as an attack, which suggests they agree on the actions and agree that they were threatening and the EBU were right to remove them. Weird side note, EBU stands for European Broadcasting Union, doesn't really matter. Anyway, passage 2 states, and now they're going to take away this opportunity over silly Instagram posts, which suggests something like the author thinks it's ridiculous and that it's unfair to remove the act for a post they may not have acted on. Okay, so the same method in the table answer looks like this. So you can see we've got the same points going down the side. A reminder that you don't need to specify whether they agree or disagree if the question is an agree question or is a disagree question, but you should do that if it is an and or. We've got the same quotes, we've got pretty much the same analysis going down. I like this one better because it just makes it easier to see, but you might find the other one easier. Don't worry too much about the layout. Don't spend ages drawing a nice table. It's just a way of dividing up your answer to make it clearer to see. Obviously, if you wanted to have a better shot at the infamous detailed and insightful comments, you probably should spend more time analysing word choice. I could have done that here with words like silly or opportunity or quite rightly, things like that. But I'm doing this on the assumption that we are all running out of time, and if you're me, you're running out of space on your whiteboard. Hopefully you'll agree now that this question is not as hard as it maybe seems at first. Time consuming, yes, and awkward to mark, yeah, but hopefully it doesn't seem as impossible as maybe it once has seemed. Right, we're going to end them with some top tips. My first tip is to make a game plan. And if you're like me, come up with a backup game plan. So before the exam, have a sit down and think strategically about your skills. What kind of questions do you find easiest? Where are the most marks? And think about what order you want to do those questions in. Do you want to prioritise the 5-mark question and do that earlier in the paper? Do you want to leave that one until last and aim to just do the 3 points? What is it that you think is going to be best for your time? And then come up with a backup just in case you go into the exam and that one doesn't work. Always think about the questions that you are going to be able to answer first. Don't spend hours worrying about one question that you can't do and then lose all the time in the exam. Leading on from that, if you do choose to answer this question last and you've only got a few minutes left, I would aim for the points first. So you can get 1 mark for 1 correct area of disagreement. And if that gets you 1 mark and you've got 2 minutes left, great. That's a mark you probably wouldn't have gotten if you hadn't bothered trying the question at all. My third piece of advice is the same as always, it is to read. Okay, it's good advice in general. At this point, you should be reading more, you should be reading better quality things, better quality journalism. You should be taking the time to read most days, if not every day. And quite a lot of people struggle with this question because they don't read very quickly and it requires them to have read 2 passages. So if you're not a fast reader, practice. Practice now. It's the only way you're going to get better at it. And that's it. That's everything you really need to know about the 5-mark question. If you have a question that I haven't answered, if you ask it down in the comments, I will try and get back to you when I can. Give this video a like if it was helpful, and I'll see you next time. Bye!